the emergency fake-out. Sarah's hands shook as she gripped the steering wheel of her ancient Honda Civic, the engine rattling like it might give up any second. It was 2:17 a.m. on a frigid December night, and the rural highway stretching out before her was empty except for the occasional swirl of snow caught in her headlights. Beside her, in the passenger seat, lay her brother Jake, pale, sweating, clutching his abdomen with both arms. "Sarah, it hurts so bad," he gasped, his voice thin and cracked. Like something's ripping inside. I know, she said, trying to keep her own voice steady. "We're almost there. Just 10 more minutes to the hospital." That was a lie. It was closer to 25, but she couldn't let him hear the truth right now. Jake was 28, 3 years younger than her, and he'd always been the dramatic one. Tonight, though, the drama felt real. He'd woken her up an hour ago, doubled over on the bathroom floor of their shared apartment, screaming about stomach pain that started after dinner. Appendicitis. Food poisoning. Something worse. Sarah didn't know, but she wasn't taking chances. Not after what happened to their mom. She pressed the gas harder, the speedometer creeping past 80. The snow was picking up, fat flakes smacking the windshield like tiny fists. Her phone had no signal out here, typical for this stretch between their small town and the regional hospital in Elmwood. No calling ahead, no GPS updates. Just her, Jake, and the dark. Jake groaned again, louder this time. "Pull over. I think I'm gonna puke." "You puked twice already," she reminded him gently. "There's nothing left. Just breathe, okay? In through the nose, out through the mouth." He tried, but it came out ragged. Sarah glanced over and saw fresh tears cutting tracks down his cheeks. Her heart twisted. Jake had been her responsibility ever since their parents died in that car crash 8 years ago. She'd dropped out of college, taken 2 jobs, kept him on track through his wild teenage years. He owed her everything, he always said. Tonight, she believed he really might be dying. The hospital lights finally appeared on the horizon, a faint glow against the storm. Sarah felt a rush of relief so strong her eyes stung. She flicked on her blinker out of habit, even though there were no other cars, and turned into the emergency room driveway. The ER entrance was lit up like a beacon. She skidded to a stop under the portico, threw the car into park, and jumped out. "Help," she shouted toward the glass doors. "My brother, he's really sick. Please." A security guard appeared first, then 2 nurses pushing a gurney. Sarah ran around to the passenger side and yanked the door open. Jake was slumped against the window, eyes half closed. "He's been in agony for hours," she told them, words tumbling out. "Started after dinner, sharp pain in his lower right side, nausea, fever. I think it might be his appendix." One nurse, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a name tag that read Maria, leaned in to assess him. "Sir? Can you hear me? We're going to get you inside." Jake mumbled something incoherent. The other nurse and the guard lifted him onto the gurney with practiced efficiency. Sarah followed, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Inside, the ER was quiet, only a drunk snoring in the corner and an elderly man coughing behind a curtain. They wheeled Jake straight into a triage bay. Maria hooked him up to monitors while the second nurse started in 4. "BP is 110/70, heart rate 110, temp 101.2, Maria called out.
A doctor appeared almost instantly. Dr. Patel, according to his badge, young, serious, already flipping through a chart that didn't exist yet. Possible appendicitis? He asked Sarah. That's what I thought, she said, nodding rapidly. The pain migrated to the lower right. He's guarding his abdomen. Classic signs, right? Dr. Patel gave her a quick, approving glance. You a med student? No, just. I read a lot after our mom died from a ruptured one. Missed diagnosis. The doctor's expression softened. We won't miss anything here. We'll get blood work, ultrasound, maybe CT if needed. You can wait in the family area. Sarah sank into a plastic chair outside the bay, adrenaline finally ebbing. She texted their Aunt Linda, at ER with Jake. Think appendix. Will update. 20 minutes later, Maria came out smiling. He's stable. Pain meds are helping. Surgeons on call will probably take him to the OR within the hour if imaging confirms. Sarah exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Thank you. Thank you so much. Maria patted her shoulder. You did the right thing bringing him in fast. Another half hour passed. Sarah dozed fitfully, jerking awake every time someone walked by. Finally, Dr. Patel emerged, pulling off his surgical cap. Good news, he said. It was appendicitis, hot and angry, but we got it out laparoscopic before it burst. He's in recovery now. You saved his life tonight. Tears spilled over before Sarah could stop them. Can I see him? Soon. He's still groggy from anesthesia. Relief flooded her so completely she almost laughed. She texted Linda again. Surgery done. He's okay. I'm staying till morning. When they finally let her into recovery, Jake looked small and pale under the white blanket, an 4 in his arm and oxygen prongs in his nose. His eyes fluttered open as she took his hand. Hey, hero, he croaked. Hey yourself, she whispered. You scared the hell out of me. Sorry, he said, attempting a weak grin. Guess I owe you even more now. You owe me breakfast in bed for a month, she countered. And no more eating 3-day-old takeout sushi. He chuckled, then winced. Deal. Sarah sat with him until he fell asleep again, then stepped out to call Linda with a full update. She was walking back toward recovery, coffee in hand, when she heard familiar voices from behind a curtain 2 bays down. Told you it would work, a male voice said, low and amused. It was genius, a female voice answered. Did you see her face? She bought it completely. Sarah froze. The male voice, she knew it. Intimately. She edged closer, heart suddenly pounding again. Peeking around the curtain, she saw Jake, her Jake, sitting up in bed, no oxygen, laughing with a pretty brunette nurse who definitely wasn't Maria. He was holding a phone, showing her something on the screen. Check this out, he said. I recorded her freaking out in the car. Just breathe, Jake, we're almost there. Oscar worthy. The nurse giggled. You're awful. But the acting, clutching your stomach like that? I almost believed it myself when they wheeled you in. Jake shrugged, smug. Years of practice. Sarah falls for it every time. Remember last year with the heart attack? How could I forget? She cried for an hour. Sarah felt the coffee cup slip from her fingers. It hit the floor with a wet splat, drawing both their heads around. Jake's face went slack. Sarah. She stared at him, then at the nurse, whose badge now clearly read in turn, not RN, and then back at Jake, who was suddenly sitting far too upright for someone who'd supposedly just had major surgery. You faked it. Her voice came out small, disbelieving. Jake swung his legs over the side of the bed, wincing theatrically. Okay, hear me out. You let them take you to surgery, she cut in, voice rising. You let them cut you open? No. He held up both hands. That's where it gets brilliant. I have a friend, well, Emily here. He nodded at the intern, who was now backing toward the door looking guilty. She's dating one of the residents. Jake swung his legs over the side of the bed, wincing theatrically. Okay, hear me out. You let them take you to surgery, she cut in, voice rising. You let them cut you open? No. He held up both hands. That's where it gets brilliant. I have a friend, well, Emily here. He nodded at the intern, who was now backing toward the door looking guilty. She's dating one of the residents. They did an emergency scope under sedation, removed nothing, closed me up with glue and a Band-Aid. No real incision. I'll be fine by tomorrow. Sarah's vision tunneled. You staged major surgery. You made me think you were dying. Again. It was supposed to be funny. Jake protested. Like senior prank level. You're always so serious, always taking care of everyone. I thought if you thought you almost lost me, you'd realize how much I mean to you. How much you need me too, not just the other way around. Sarah laughed then, a sharp, bitter sound that echoed down the hallway. You thought terrorizing me was the way to prove you love me? Jake's face fell. I didn't think it through. No, she said quietly. You didn't. Dr. Patel appeared then, drawn by the noise. He took one look at the scene, Sarah shaking with rage, Jake in street clothes under the hospital gown, the intern practically cowering, and sighed. I'm guessing the appendix was miraculously healthy, he asked dryly. Spotless, Emily muttered. Dr. Patel pinched the bridge of his nose. You're lucky no real patient was delayed. Get dressed, Mr. Harlan. You're being discharged. And you, he pointed at Emily, consider this your final warning. Next stunt, and you're out of the program. Jake dressed in silence, while Sarah stood with her arms crossed, staring at the wall. When he was ready, he approached her hesitantly. Sarah, I'm sorry. It was stupid. Beyond stupid. I wanted you to see me as more than the screw-up little brother. She looked at him, then really looked. The boy she'd raised, the man who still acted like a child when he felt invisible. You want me to see you, she said. Then stop making me save you from disasters you create yourself. Grow up, Jake. For real this time. He nodded, eyes downcast. They walked out into the pre-dawn cold together, the snow still falling softly. Sarah started the car, but didn't pull away immediately. I'm moving out, she said finally. I've been saving for a place of my own. It's time. Jake's head snapped up. Sarah, no. You'll be fine, she continued. You have a job, friends, apparently a whole network for elaborate pranks. You don't need me hovering anymore. He opened his mouth, closed it, then whispered, I'm really sorry. I know, she said. And maybe one day I'll think it's funny. But not today. She put the car in drive and headed home through the quiet, snow-blanketed streets. The sky was beginning to lighten in the east, a pale promise of New Year's Eve daylight. Sarah glanced at her brother, slumped silently in the passenger seat. No dramatic groans this time, no performance. For the first time in years, the silence between them felt honest.